I feel like you don't need permission to do something, and you don't need to ask for permission to do something. You need a problem to solve. And I say this because I wanted to ride a motorcycle for the first time on the street 11 years ago. That's when I first thought about doing it. And I ended up getting into it, I think about 3 years after that. I wanted to ride because I thought it'd be a fun way to get around campus. And I was in college at the time, and there were so many people riding mopeds around. And I have my own background with motorcycling through my family, so it only made sense to me. And I was like, okay, I should I should ride a motorcycle on campus. And I guess I must have run it up the old flagpole with my friends, with my boyfriend at the time. I might have mentioned it to my family, I might have not, but I just got shot down left and right. And I was kind of asking for permission or reinforcement or someone else to co sign this decision. And, for one reason or another, it just didn't make sense at the time. But I still wanted to do it. So it ended up being that I needed to overcome a problem. The problem was like not dialing into my own intuition or not understanding what path I wanted to take. I needed to be like itching to do this thing and itching to solve the problem of eventually transportation. When I was in school, I was doing a lot of walking, and maybe it would have been a bit of a hassle to have the bike, but eventually I was living a lifestyle where I could walk a lot, but I just needed to get further around, and I didn't have a car, and I wanted a bike, and it's something I always wanted to do. So eventually I didn't see it as something like I need to compare notes with people and see what I need to do. I didn't need the people closest to me to say, yes, go get a motorcycle. I just needed to figure out first what bike would be right for me. So I just started doing research on starter bikes and what bikes would be right for me. I needed to know where I could take a class, how I could get my license. And if you take a class, you can get your license right there if you do the riding portion of it. If you do the riding test there, and then you just got to go to the DMV and do the paper test. Easy. So I didn't need someone to just say yes and I'll help you out. Like, I'll guide you through all these steps. I needed to have these problems mulling around, and I just needed to reach some kind of a breaking point with them. And I think that's what a lot of people need. And I say this in kind of context of all this social media stuff and how we use the internet now. A lot of us are kind of waiting for things to come our way. Like, we're waiting for someone else to bestow an idea or a direction or a solution onto us. We're watching a lot of content, absorbing a lot of stuff, and every so often you do get something really great, and you're like, wow, this was sent to me. Divine inspiration, this is amazing. But more often than not, the way you get through into something really worthwhile is you start with your problems and just start looking for solutions. That's what makes you start tailoring it. I think of some of this stuff as like getting better SEO. It's a very like technical way of looking at it, but I have background in web development. So you need to have terms to feed into these platforms in order for them to give you what you need. And if you kind of just let the average, the noise of the world dictate your algorithms all the time, what other people send you, your watch time on that, what's trending in the news, or just like what's popular, if you're always letting that dictate your media palette, then you're gonna feel a little bit wayward. You're not gonna feel directionful. You're gonna feel a little bit directionless, and you might feel less purposeful because you're just letting the world curate your vibe, dude. It's very much the world is too much with us. So, if you're feeling a little bit uninspired, I'd say look at your problems more. Don't fixate on what you can't do about them. Assess them, see where there's a minor or a major problem that's been bothering you that you can solve. Maybe if it's just repairing something in your house and that leads you down a new skill. But I want to kind of challenge you to like remix your algorithms and make them work for you better. And whenever I do that, I feel, more inspired. It's fun to be online, and it's not so stressful. It's not so, taking you on these emotional journeys. You're taking yourself on your educational journey. But, when you're actively seeking answers to specific questions, you're going to be rewarded. And all you have to do is ask. So that's how I got into motorcycling. I didn't ask, should I ride a bike? I knew I was going to. So I asked the internet, at least, and the people who I could trust, what's a good bike for me to get started on? How do I make sure that I get a good deal? What should I look for cosmetically or functionality wise? How do I make sure that I don't accidentally buy a dud? And then try things out. There's so many people want to do things perfectly. They don't want to get into the starter experience, but wherever you start is your starter experience. And I started on a small bike, one that made sense to me, tried out all these different bikes, and then it gave me something to compare it to, so I knew what my biking journey would be. And I do that with a lot of things. I don't do things super linearly. I just kind of go based off of intuition. And then it gives me notes. If you don't try at all, you have no idea. But at least if you give it a go, you'll know what you don't like, what you'd like to change, or what you'd like to improve, or what you'd prefer. And then you just tweak from there. So that's how I ended up in this like cafe racer world, and with a really beautiful retro modern classic bike that I've tailored to my preferences, because I was like, well, I'll just start with this. And then there's other stuff that I like about it, there's stuff that I like about it, and there's stuff that I want to change in order to make it more me. And everyone's been talking about free will lately. I've been seeing all these like little jokes online about like, I can just remember that I have free will. So I want to remind you that you have free will, and these little things about life you can tailor and tweak and just curate your life to be exactly what you want it to be, or a greater vision, more accurate to what you want it to be. So yeah, these kind of things were just kicking around in my head because of just me thinking about how I got down the pipeline of motorcycling, and I got so much resistance from people that it's unsafe, that it's like, you should do this before you ride a bike, or you should do that, and aren't you worried? My mom cried when she found out that I bought a motorcycle. And there's just a lot of people share uneducated or unfounded opinions. It's very much the Dunning-Kruger effect of, the less you know about a subject, often the more vocal you're willing to be. And then you get to a certain point and realize you don't know as much as you thought you did. And, kind of fall off a cliff of realizing like, oh my gosh, there's so much I need to know. I can't believe that I thought I was so knowledgeable before. And then you do become an expert, and you kind of equalize a little bit and settle into your expertise. But a lot of people are on that beginning curve of the Dunning-Kruger effect, and will just talk out their ass about things that they don't know. I mean, my grandma used to give me opinions on that I need a windscreen on my motorcycle. And I was like, oh yeah, how come? And she said, you're going to get bugs in your teeth. Yeah. She said, get a windscreen, a big windscreen on your motorcycle, because you don't want bugs in your teeth. And I was like, Grandma, I'm wearing a helmet. She never wore a helmet when she was on the back of people's bikes or whatever, because they weren't even that good back then. And yeah, it's just, you want to respect your elders. You want to be receptive to information. You want to be kind and considerate and open, but take every damn thing with a grain of salt, especially if someone's living a life that you're not trying to emulate. You really need to master compartmentalize and determine what about somebody's life that you admire, that you find really inspiring, and then try to limit what you receive from them to that capacity. And then for everything else, you can say, oh, that's great. I'm really happy that worked out for you. I'm really happy that you had success in real estate. I'm really happy that that this individual stock worked for you, or whatever. I'm really glad that you love your 401k or whatever someone's up to. They haven't lived the same life that you have, and they're not solving the same problems that you are. So anyways, yeah, I just want to kind of like vibe and talk about like whatever, because yeah, I'm actually going I'm doing some secret things, fun stuff that I've wanted to do, and you'll be seeing some of that on the channel if you're tuning in. So yeah, I want to be back around the internet a little bit more, chatting and sharing some adventures. So for right now, I'm at the office. I'm packing orders and stuff of my armor for my motorcycle safety gear business. And speaking of motorcycles, that's what the journey's gonna be. I'm doing a lot of really cool travel, and I'm hoping to share some of it with you. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and check out Stealth Armor Co. if you're an adventuring type person and need safety gear. All right, till next time.